things. I'm friends with a lot of BCMers and a lot of parachurch type leaders, and I think one of the questions that they often have, or some of them probably aren't even asking this question, so you could address that if you want. But I know you have a passion for students being involved in the local church and being
Yes,
connected to the
yes,
local church.
for
I know
sure.
that's a big priority for you, and Christian Challenge is a big priority. And so, but there's a lot of campus ministry guys who are, they're raising support either for themselves or for the
Mhm.
ministry. They answer to some sort of association that is asking them about numbers, asking them about these different metrics that they've got to meet. And there's a lot of pressure to make that ministry successful in the eyes of those people or
Right.
whatever. And
Hmm.
oftentimes, I think what gets lost is this priority of connecting college students to the local church. How would you say what if someone's asking that question? Someone's asking us, okay, how does a parachurch ministry
Yeah.
um, connect students to the local church? What would you say?
Yeah, and actually, I've noticed a lot of the. I would even use the campus-based terminology more than parachurch,
Sure.
just kind of for future. It's just like I've gotten feedback from the guy from a lot of the BCM guys. They're like, "Hey, don't say parachurch."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I won't. I'm
so,
done now. I'm
so,
done.
anyways, but I do think, yeah, it again, it all rises and falls on leadership. The leader they have to be a churchman, so to speak. They have to be someone that is all in. Like Max Barnett was like a great
Yeah,
example of that. Like he built
yeah,
that movement on the campus, but he was like, you have to be involved in this church, a church. And the one he went to ended up being the one most people went to and were a
yeah,
part of.
yeah,
He would, we would pack out this, like, I remember going to this 6 a.m. Men's fraternity meeting, and there was a ton of the BCM guys going. If you remember, if you know what men's fraternity, it's this ministry for men, and it's a really cool deal. But there was a ton of the BCM guys that were involved in that men's
yeah,
ministry, and so that was a good example of, hey, let's be all in with whenever the church has something, whenever the church has opportunities, let's make sure that we're creating space, because
mm,
I think that's the thing that campus-based leaders need to realize is they can't just monopolize all the time
mm, mm,
of the students, because then they won't have margin to live on mission.
mm,
They won't
Yeah.
have
yeah,
margin to engage and be a true member of the family
Mm.
of God, which is the local church. And so
yeah,
um, and I think on both sides, it's more, again, like the family idea of church, the mission, kind of we're on this
yeah,
mission together, more so than the programmatic side of things, like lean. And then I think that's
mm,
what this generation longs for,
mm,
is less about programs and more
yeah,
about like the community that you're running with and the
Mm-hmm.
accountability, and
yeah,
kind of having this. That's one of the things I love about college pastors is they have that pastoral mindset, and
yeah,
they're seeing that through those eyes. And so I think that's something, like, every student needs a pastor. they
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
don't they don't just need um a kind of evangelistic apostolic guy to fire them up to share their faith.
Yeah.
yeah, sure,
They also need pastors and mentors and multi-generational
mm,
relationships from like people in the church. And so, like, anytime like at Chico, I can kind of speak to what we do, is like anytime the men's ministry, the women's ministry does something, anytime there's opportunities, like our ministry basically runs the kids zone on Sunday morning. Like,
Mm.
it's like all, like, you
yeah,
walk through I drop my kids off and I'm like, hey, I discipled him. I led him to Christ.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's really sick. And then our pastors speak regularly at events, and
Mm.
it's
yeah,
actually our senior pastor is the fall retreat speaker
Mm.
every year. It's like,
Mm.
and so there's different ways to kind of, if your goal is to funnel people into the church, then man, let's find the most strategic way. Our summer
Mm.
project is very local church heavy.
mm,
They take several opportunities to invest in students throughout the week. Yeah, I think there's a way for there should be a lot of partnership and a kingdom mindedness and open handedness on both sides, for
yeah.
sure.